God must have loved the common man. He made so many of them. Words of the wisest of presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And part of Lincoln's wisdom was that he looked with unabbreviated appreciation upon ordinary men and women, the multitude of everyday people for whom life is hard, work relentless, disappointments many. Well, the common man lost a buddy yesterday. Rob Ford, the impresario mayor of Toronto, fell to an unconquerable cancer. Mr. Ford was one of the most remarkable ordinary people Toronto has ever produced. He deserved the critical press he got. He was Toronto's mayor, after all. But he did not deserve the zest and vicious scorn some brought to the coverage of him. His hard times and personal failings called up, from some, a blitz of mockery and derision that had in it at least as much snobbery as righteousness. There was far more kindness in Rob Ford than in the most zealous of those who couldn't stand him, and a stronger pulse of compassion in those who did stay by him than those who found delight in his many failings and follies. To say he was flawed is both understatement and redundant. We all are. But Mr. Ford was the bull in his own china shop. He did strain the loyalty he inspired. He was reckless, sometimes distempered. But at the core of the man was something larger than all the flaws. He had a sense of the flow and pattern of everyday lives. There was no gap between him and those on the outside of privilege and station. His language might be rough, and some of his comments jammed a radar of political correctness. But he was more at ease, more natural and welcoming to the many faces and tones of Toronto's multicultural mix than many of its more ostentatious champions. The annual Ford party out in the wilds of Etobicoke was like a chicken wings and beer night at some alternate United Nations. Ford had one sublime virtue, which all politicians should study and imitate. He did not think he was better than the people who voted for him. He didn't prate about respecting the voters, he actually did it. Some people like to say he anticipated the politics of Donald Trump. Not so. He was more Ralph Klein, another wild politician whose heart had more intelligence than the brains who looked down upon him, and whose style and manner kept more believing in politics than 50 senates full of the distinguished, the sophisticated, the eminent, and the connected. Rob Ford, for all the controversy, kept the line open with the common man. In the words of the same Lincoln, Mr. Ford was of the people, by the people, for the people, with a vengeance. It's very sad to see this decent man, so wonderfully gifted emotionally and likewise so burdened, die in midlife before we knew the all of him. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.